Hurricane Ian destroyed so many homes and businesses on Fort Myers Beach. Storm surge maxed out at more than 14 feet.
We know the threats from Idalia are not expected to be nearly as extreme, but 2 to 4 feet of storm surge is expected. And that could be a bit of a problem for some communities on Fort Myers Beach, still dealing with damage.
That's where we find ABC 7's Gage Goulding tonight. Gage, you're getting us more on what to expect as the water starts to rise tomorrow.
Getting us more and getting on ABC 7 News at 11. We're in the Gulf of Mexico, and no, it's not for fun. I want to show you something. The storm surge, first and foremost, what we saw with Ian and we were kind of talking about there, not even close. 2 to 4 feet here in Lee County, a little bit more towards the north, a little bit less towards the south, but it's all dependent on when that peak storm surge kind of lines up with the peak high tide. Right now, peak high tide around 2:20 in the morning. Wednesday, 2:20 a.m. Wednesday here for Fort Myers Beach. Our peak storm surge we're going to be seeing here in Southwest Florida is kind of after the midnight hour into the early morning hours of Wednesday. So we could possibly see that not so fun, perfect concoction for peak storm surge. But the best way to illustrate that is this big pool I have here. This is 8 feet long. We're not seeing 8 feet of storm surge, but what I want to show you is I'm standing in approximately 3.5, 4 feet of water. So if I put this in there, and this is approximate, I want to tell you, because we're seeing some swells and ebbs and flows with the water. But if we get the worst case scenario, and we're going to just pretend and hypothetical that we do get the worst case scenario, we could see storm surge up to that little yellow piece of reflective tape that we put on there for you. So me, if I was in the Gulf of Mexico around that peak time tomorrow, well, I'd be in pretty bad shape, be possibly underwater, right? So that means a lot of the beach, a lot of the pier, a lot of the accesses in the Fort Myers Beach Captiva area means you're going to be underwater. So definitely a good idea. So you're probably sitting at home thinking, Gage, I'm not going to the beach tomorrow. I'm not going in the water tomorrow. I want to know what it's like on dry land. That's a great question. Well, what's dry land now may not be dry land tomorrow. So let's look at the Pierside Grill here in Times Square in Fort Myers Beach. This is what remains after Ian kind of destroyed the area. And as I hop up here, I want to show you, once again, using that same 8-foot pole here. And this is all approximate. That's the big word, approximate here. About half of the pole is kind of here. So this wall, a little over 3 feet tall, I'd say. So yeah, if we get that worst case scenario here in this Pierside Grill area, if this was open, people dining, they'd have their feet wet, maybe up to their calves with water. All right, so what about my house? What about the roads on Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Captiva, some of those areas kind of in and around here? Well, we could see some water on the roads. We could see that water trickle into those low-lying areas. This restaurant is built up on a pedestal a little bit, if you will. It is Gulf front, so it's a little bit higher. If you go into the Times Square area, you actually take a couple steps down, so it goes down. So if that water does kind of crest the berm here, crest what we have, which has kind of been destroyed and has not been renourished here on Fort Myers Beach since Ian, yeah, we could see some water in the Times Square area. We could see some water in the streets. We could see some water in some beach accesses, maybe some, Gulf front homes. But this is all dependent on if those peak storm surge times and the peak high tide times kind of meet up there, peak and peak. Think of that together. If they do link up and meet up there, that's when we could see some of that storm surge. But bottom line, guys, we're not going to see anything even close to Hurricane Ian, which, by the way, I'm 6'3". If you put me on top of this pool, which is 8 foot, you'd be in and around that spot of where we were for Hurricane Ian. We're not going to even come close to that, but still something to keep an eye on. I'm reporting live and local out here on Fort Myers Beach in the Times Square area. Gage Goulding, ABC 7.
Yeah.